You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative. Say you want to get married, have kids, teach them to believe in God and pledge allegiance to their country. Because you know what? Fear has been infectious in this country, but courage can be contagious too. That too is what it means to be an American.
At the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee, we saw some pretty stirring moments. For my money, some of the most stirring moments were from the everyday Americans who were telling their stories about how their lives have been devastated by crime, violent crime, criminals who have been let back on the streets by Democrats aligned with this White House, who decide that they're going to re-engineer our society, not by following the law having to do with criminal justice, no, by ignoring the law, not prosecuting people and leaving them out on the streets. Add to that the devastating criminal impact of our open border and the criminals who have passed across our border without any repercussions, then wreaking havoc with sexual assaults and murders of American citizens. And we are living in a dystopian time under this president. Those speeches from those everyday Americans impacted, their lives devastated by Joe Biden, they will stay with me for a very, very long time. That was a main theme last night. The other main theme was a litany of Republican candidates who ran in the primaries this year, who fell short of getting the nomination, who now went out of their way to stand on that stage and say, Donald Trump has my full support. Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, there was no love lost between DeSantis and Trump. There were a lot of names being called. There was a lot of vitriol between their two passionate bases. But Ron DeSantis stood on the stage and say, I am with President Trump. Nikki Haley, of all people, who it appeared would not endorse Donald Trump. She stayed on to the very end, as long as she could in the primary process. She had devastating criticisms of Donald Trump. She sounded like a Democrat toward the end of the primary process. She stood on the stage and let the world know that she has given the full support and full endorsement of Donald Trump. This is how party politics is supposed to work. What we saw in 2016 and 2020, that's the aberration, with butthurt Republicans walking away from their party, claiming that they're the real true Republicans, and that's why they're going to support Hillary Clinton. Okay, make that make sense. This time around, you're seeing a Republican Party more unified than ever. And the most impactful speech of the former Republican candidates for president came from this man, Vivek Ramaswamy. Watch this with me, will you?
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's good to be back in Milwaukee. This time last year, I was a candidate for U.S. president, and I'm proud to say that I achieved the impossible, which is that most of you actually know how to say my name by now. So thank you for that. It's good to be back. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis right now. Faith, patriotism, hard work, and family have disappeared, only to be replaced by race, gender, sexuality, and climate. But we're not going to win this election just by criticizing the other side. We're going to win this by standing for our own vision of who we really are. What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. Thank you. It means the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state. These are not black ideas or white ideas. They are not even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They are American ideas that we fought a revolution to secure. And the man who will revive these ideals in the United States of America is your next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to reignite the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump. But there is one more reason I'm going to ask you to vote Trump, and it's the most important one. It's the one the media won't talk about, but it's the truth. Donald Trump is the president who will actually unite this country, not through empty words, but through action. Because you know what? Success is unifying. Excellence is unifying. That's who we are as Americans. That's who we've always been. To those of you watching this at home tonight, I'd like to deliver a message that the media doesn't want you to hear from the Republican Party. Our message to Black Americans is this. The media has tried to convince you for decades that Republicans don't care about your communities, but we do. We want for you what we want for every American: safe neighborhoods, clean streets, good jobs, a better life for your children, and a justice system that treats everyone equally, regardless of your skin color and regardless of your political beliefs. Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this: you're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children in America. But our message to illegal immigrants is also this: we will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law.
I'm going to interrupt this just for a quick minute. It's hard for me to interrupt because I think he's so good, and I think he's better now than he was when he was a candidate in terms of delivering these types of speeches. And this was such a well-crafted speech and well delivered. But something occurred to me that I just want to share with you real fast. You know the old trope. I'm old enough to remember. Well, I am old enough to remember Republican conventions. I remember when I was very little. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan. And one of my very first political memories was the Republican convention in Detroit, Michigan in 1980. That's when they nominated Ronald Reagan. I was a kid. I didn't pay attention to politics, but there was something about Ronald Reagan that I thought was, kind of cool, right? And I remember that convention because it was in our town. It was Detroit, for crying out. Nothing ever happens in Detroit. What's the old line about, was it the Apostle Nathan who said of Jesus, what good can come of Nazareth? Nothing ever good comes out of Nazareth. Detroit is basically Nazareth. Nothing good comes out of Detroit. But it was a big deal. So I remember paying attention to it. And there's something about Republican conventions or conventions in general that I've always sort of watched. It's a thing. I'm a news junkie. I always have been since I was a little kid. So I'm old enough to remember Republican conventions of the past in particular. And I'm old enough to remember the George W. Bush convention. I believe it was the 2004 convention, where every night the keynote speaker on any given night was a person of color. And it was very obvious and very deliberate. Maybe it was 2000, where you had a Colin Powell, you had a Condoleezza Rice. You had it was so ham-handed and kind of clumsy, and it was so obvious that the Republican Party at that time was trying to put forward this face of, look, we've got black people too, we've got women too. We're not just the party of white men. And whenever you have to go out of your way to do that and say, no, we got our, you look even worse, because it's so obvious what you're trying to do. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you remember this at all? I remember like every night there was like this really prominent person of color or woman that they were just elevating and saying, here, see what we got. And I contrast this to now we're 2 nights into the Republican convention. And I contrast that feeling with what we're seeing here. With it they're not trying anymore. Republicans aren't trying anymore. They just are. If you look at the crowd, there's a good number of people of color in the crowd, of various ethnicities and various races in the crowd. It's a huge number of women in the crowd. And yes, we've got Vivek Ramaswamy on the stage, and we've got Tim Scott on the stage, and but it's not this clumsy sort of, hey everyone, look, we've got no, it just is. This is just who we are. And it's funny because now I think it's the Democrats who were trying hard. You saw Joe Biden yesterday. Well, I know what a black job is. It's the vice president. In other words, Kamala Harris is there because she's black, everyone. Look at us. Look at us. We're not racist, which of course they are. Their extra effort and their extra try hard on inclusivity actually points out the inherent racism of who they are. We have excellent people who are on stage doing excellent work and saying excellent things about our country, not through the lens of race and not highlighting their skin color. Their skin color is incidental and just an additional asset of who they are, but it's not the driving force of their message. We've reached a place now, the Republican Party, where it's really incredibly healthy, strong, and provocative for Vivek Ramaswamy to send the message that you just heard him send to black voters. And it's kind of cool. I like where we are right now. I feel really good about it. All right, a little bit more.
Our message to millennials, speaking as one myself. Yes, it's true. Our government sold us a false bill of goods with the Iraq War and the 2008 financial crisis, loading up our national debt that falls on our generation's shoulders, telling us that if we took out college loans, we'd somehow get a head start on the American dream, when it hasn't worked out that way. But we can't just be cynical about our country, because the United States of America is still the last best hope that we have, and we deserve a better class of politician, one who actually tells us the truth, even if it comes with some mean tweets from time to time. And our message to Gen Z is this: you're going to be the generation that actually saves this country. You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative. Say you want to get married, have kids, teach them to believe in God and pledge allegiance to their country. Because you know what? Fear has been infectious in this country, but courage can be contagious too. That too is what it means to be an American. And you know what? If you're at home and you disagree with everything I just said, our message to you is this: we will still defend to the death your right to say it, because that is who we are as Americans. We are the country where we can disagree like hell and still get together at the dinner table at the end of it. That is the America I know. That is the America we miss. We do not have to be ancient Rome. We don't have to be this nation in decline. We can still be a nation in our ascent, a nation whose best days, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, a nation whose best days are actually still ahead of us, still on our way to that shining city on a hill, that country where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, that you will still get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that, you know what, you are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will revive this November when we send Donald J. Trump back to the White House. Thank you all. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, come on. Come on.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Are you not ready to just plow through a brick wall face first right now to get to Election Day? And I look at Vivek Ramaswamy delivering that speech in that room with that reaction, and I think to myself, Vivek and DeSantis and Marco and Doug Burgum and Glenn Youngkin and J.D. Vance and Mike Pompeo and Ted Cruz and Mike Johnson and Jim Jordan and Jason Hawley and I didn't expect to do this, so I don't have anything in my head that I've done. But that litany right there, just that right there, that's our bench right now as the Republican Party. Those are people other than Vivek who have run and won elected office as Republicans and are governing either as governors or as senators or members of the House of Representatives. Who have they got? I mean, they're scrambling. The best they can come up with, because they don't want Kamala, is Michelle Obama. And then Gavin Newsom, that's it? Fatboy Pritzker from Illinois? Gretchen Whitmer, the Wicked Witch of the East? I am really happy as a Republican right now about where we are and where we're headed. And I see Vivek Ramaswamy deliver those remarks at that convention, knowing that he is going to have some role in the Trump administration. And I'm feeling pretty good, not just about winning in November, but then governing in January. These are good times for us right now. And imagine that. Imagine that these are good times to be a Republican and to be an American. And we're just 5 days after the attempted assassination of our nominee. That tells you something. It tells you something about how the world turns and about how time develops and how events unfold. Keep the faith, people. Stay positive, stay focused, and don't let them drag you down, because that's all they've got on us right now. That's all they've got, is to drag us down and to divide us. And we will not let it happen. We've got way too much going for us.